Buonasera a tutti. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is What's the Scoop, episode 93. And as always, the posse here together all tonight. To my right, first and foremost, my buddy Jay Cruger with the getting us into the season, the spirit a little bit. I won't even say a little bit early, but definitely beating the other two of us to it as far as on the show is concerned. Love the colors you're bringing tonight, Jay. I can only imagine what joke you're going to make about that. But how you doing?
Doing good, man. Yeah, I'm getting a jump on Christmas early. As soon as it hits midnight on November 1st, we're putting up the lights and we're preparing. I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. Can't wait to be talking
Nice.
to sports. The only thing that's missing are a couple of my favorite sports. Somebody needs to do something. Invent Christmas baseball. They got to do that.
That'd be fun. I don't exactly know where you'd play that, because I feel like I would confuse baseball with a snowball very easily. At least until Giancarlo tried to hit it. Can you imagine that man trying to swing at a snowball?
No, imagine the pitcher's trying to fake him out. Pretend he's going for the rosin bag. He actually goes for a snowball. It's got to be a balk, right?
Gosh. Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, find any other show that starts with we're less than 2 minutes in. We're already talking about playing snowballs or baseball with snowballs. And with that, my fellow Seton Hall Pirate, Mr. Brandon Furtado, who's going to have to deal with me twice tonight. Brandon, how you doing, boss?
Scoop, anytime I get to deal with you, even just once is a treat. Two becomes like where I'm getting spoiled. So know what? I will take it. That's fine by me.
Likewise, and glad to have you on tonight. Thank you again, both of y'all, for joining. And let's break into it. We got plenty to talk about today. I know that we're going to cover, I think, several different sports. Obviously, going to spend a good amount of time talking about football because obviously we're kind of in the middle of that. The most is kind of the peak right now. But I do want to talk with, and I actually didn't even bring this up in the preview of the show, but I do want to bring it up because I felt like it kind of was the most notable news of the day across the four major sports. The Bus brothers in the LA Lakers fired after 20 years. That means so that's the sons of Jeannie and Jerry Buss, no longer part of the Lakers organization. As guys who follow, not the Lakers obviously, but guys who follow the NBA in general, from an outside fan, does this surprise you? And what effect do you think this has on the Lakers? Not necessarily from a basketball standpoint, but also just in general. Brandon, I'll start with you.
I think just when you hear anything about that family in general, any kind of news, it's like it becomes big news, obviously, because given their history with the team and with the league. So when you hear about the kids being pretty much moved out from the team, it's a shock. It comes as a shock, but I mean at the same time, there's just it's just something where I guess the organization's eyes, and I guess maybe just change is needed. These are obviously, like, we look at the Yankees, right, and how they're starting to see some change in some guys that have been there for a while now. Letting go of people who've been in the organization for a long time. It's kind of no different here. Letting go of or cutting family ties with the org a little bit. And trying to get just a fresh perspective in there, which is what they need. It's just really interesting. I mean, I didn't hear anything about this before it happened. It only happened a few hours ago. So, I mean, I don't know much about it, but what I do know is just from a legacy standpoint, from an impact standpoint, it definitely is something. It definitely moves the needle for me a little bit. It's just when you have a family that's so influential, powerful with both the team and the league, and when you have their family members that are also involved in it, and then you kind of see, everybody's kind of starting to go one by one. It's kind of signaling, a changing of the guard that's coming, sooner rather than later. So,
wait, they put in somebody else at guard?
No, I said changing of the guard. Yeah, good one. That's a good one. I like the way you sell jokes. But that's really all I can say.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for Jeannie Buss because apparently she said she was obviously crushed by seeing
Yeah.
them kind of be outed from the team. But I mean,
It's gonna be kind of a weird experience at the holidays coming up.
Oh man, you took it from me. I was gonna say Thanksgiving's gonna be awkward.
Oh, sorry.
I can only imagine how that's gonna go.
That's that chemistry on from the shows for being on here for so long. But
Hey, somebody passed the potatoes, just like how you passed on my resume to another job. Well, that one, that's great, but yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I obviously you can't follow the NBA without seeing what's going on with the Lakers, even if it's against your will. And so, they're kind of like we all know what they say. They say that they're basically the Cowboys of the NFL, the NBA, the Yankees of the NBA, that type of thing. And for good reason. So I think most people are going to see this. If they haven't seen it, they're going to see it eventually. But I did think it was interesting just because, Yankees, Steinbrenner, Jones, Cowboys, Buss, Lakers. There are some of the biggest brands. There's a name associated with it, and that kind of is just what's associated with the Lakers, I think. And so for that to happen, I will say this though. Credit to the people who are still up there, who are connected to the Buss family, who recognize that sometimes a changing of the guard is needed, even if it's a sucky decision to make. At the end of the day, it's business. That's what sports is. It's business.
Yeah.
And credit to them for making a decision that a lot of teams should make but refuse to. The Rockies refused to do that in the Monfort family too many times. The Cowboys, much to our joy, but the Cowboys in general have refused to do that too many times with people that Jerry is either related to or close with. So the Lakers, credit to them here, they were willing to make a move that not a lot of people who are in and out of sports that are close to people where they just have to acknowledge, what, from an analytical standpoint, it just ain't working. You're great people.
Honorable mention in that lineup. Isn't there more than one Dolan? Like
Dolan. Are we talking about Paul Dolan in the Guardians, or are we talking about James Dolan in the New York area?
Both. Aren't they?
I don't know about either one. I just didn't know which one you were asking about.
No. I'm like, aren't they both related, and aren't they equally not great?
I thought that Paul Dolan and James Dolan. I didn't think that they were related, to be honest.
Oh, they might not be. I'm just like, yeah.
Real quick, joining in is Jess Andrews, a longtime family friend of mine. Actually, was my babysitter when I was very little. So grateful to still be family friends with her all these years. Jess jumping in saying, "Hey, Roy, just saying hello. Kurt sends his best as well. Jess and Kurt, hope y'all are doing well. Happy Thanksgiving and God bless y'all." Jess, for those who don't know, Jess is if I'm remembering this, Jess, you're a Red Sox. I can't remember what football team you support. I want to say Patriots, but I can't remember. I thought you might be Boston all the way around. I'm honestly forgetting. But either way, love talking sports with you and just about talking anything in general. So again, my prayers continue to go to you this holiday season. Hope while I'm up here in New York, I get to see y'all. Nikki says, "Hello, Scoop and friends." Hello, Nikki. Hope you are doing well. I saw you were posting about Jack Hughes. Hopefully he didn't mishandle any other flatware at any events tonight.
Oh, stop. Don't do that to me. I'm already suffering.
You know what? At least from what I understand, he gets help handling the Stanley Cup. So, but anyway, hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, I've got to pay for that one, Nick, when I have to talk to Nikki later on. But she says Patriots, of course, and they are kicking ass. I will say this. I don't remember what show it was on, but on one of the shows last week, I mentioned in terms of quarterbacks that have been impressing me all around, making every throw. And Brandon, you were on whatever show it was. And I mentioned Drake May as that. And I mentioned that as somebody who was not a Drake May fan coming out of college. So I've been giving your Pats their love, Jess, as much as that is rare for me to be doing. So with that being said, coming back to our content, how do you guys want to kick this off? Want to go into some football? Want to start with our Yankees? Why don't we talk about that free agency stuff we were talking about for baseball?
Oh yeah.
I know we wanted to spend a lot of time on that, so we'll and then with whatever time we have left, we'll go from there. So there's a little thing that happens around this time of year when the air is getting cold, the stove is getting hot, and I am always one to love the MLB off season. We've got the free agency, we got the trades and all that other good stuff. One move that happened that obviously involved our Yankees this week that for some reason a lot of people didn't expect. I don't understand why, but there was a thing called this is actually not one of the more well-known things in baseball, I guess, but we all know the qualifying offer was handed out. A rather high number of guys accepted it this year. There were 4 guys who accepted it. I believe it was 9 who declined it. The 4 guys who accepted it, the qualifying offer, for those who don't know, is 1 year and a little over $22 million for this coming season. And one of the guys who accepted it was our own upcoming free agent, no longer Trent Grisham. And so many people across Yankees social media, and I didn't understand this, and quite honestly, it irritated me a bit. So many people were pissed off and slandering the front office and the ownership for making that offer and saying that it was dumb and blah, 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 blah. How is it dumb to offer him that number for the season he just had for 1 season? When we knew he was going to, we said this season, we were probably going to be priced out from him because he was going to command a bigger deal elsewhere. We got him back for this season ahead to see if it was a 1 year or if it was a 1 year fluke, then we get rid of him middle of the season for nothing, or we let him walk at the end of the year. If it's not, then guess what? We get to reap the benefits of 1 more good season from him, and we don't have to rush up Spencer Jones when he hopefully stops swinging and everything that moves. So, and we get to, hopefully bring him up mid-season or September 1st when rosters expand from 26 to 28 players, but we're not forced to rush him up, which is exactly what the hell we did with Anthony Volpe that people have been pissing on the front office for doing for so long. So we literally just took a step that allows us to not do this thing with this top prospect that we just made the mistake of doing with our last one, and fans are pissed about that. And in doing so, we are protected from the fact that as much as fans don't want to hear this, and as much as I believe it will happen, there is a world in which Cody Bellinger does not return. I don't think it's a likely world. I think for every world that exists where he doesn't return, I think there's 100 where he does. But there is a world in which he does not return. And in that world, you're going to need somebody who can play center field. Because I am not putting Aaron Judge back in center field next year. And I am not over-promoting Spencer Jones just because he's the only one who can play center field. Now, am I comfortable with a world in which Bellinger leaves, we put Dominguez at center field, we put Ben Rice at first, Judge in right, excuse me, and we go and get somebody for left field like a Kyle Tucker? Now you're talking. And if you want, you potentially can capitalize on, if he starts the season hot, trading Dominguez mid-season at the deadline and, putting Jones in center field and one thing or another. Doing something like that. I don't think losing Bellinger, I'm going to say it, I think he comes back. I want him back. I don't think losing Bellinger is as horrible for the Yankees as people think. Whatever we want to agree, he had a pretty forgettable postseason in more often than not, unfortunately. He was important to us getting there, yes. But I'm tired of guys being important to us getting into October and then not doing anything in October. I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. And again, can't express it enough. I love Bellinger. I respect him. I hope he comes back. But I don't see him not coming back as a death knell to the offseason and certainly not to next season. So, and I say all this to say, I know I kind of pivoted here from the Trent Grisham thing, but my point just being that I think where the Yankees are is in a good position. I admittedly didn't expect him to accept the qualifying offer. I thought he was going to decline it. I thought we were going to get the draft pick. But do I think that we got worked by paying him $22 million for 1 year? No. I might think that if we were the Brewers, I might think that if we were the Pirates, I might think that if we were the, Spokane Athletics or wherever they're playing now. But no, I don't have a problem with it. And so I don't know. Am I alone on this? And respond to what I said, not only about Grisham, but also about what I said about Bellinger. I'll go the reverse order now, just because I'm feeling like shaking it up tonight. Give me your responses, Jay.
These fans are acting like the Yankees are me before payday. Like we have more than $22 million on the payroll, guys. So worst case scenario, you have a guy who potentially you could trade for better pieces. If he doesn't turn out, if last year turns out to be a one-hit wonder. And best case scenario, you have a guy who, if we do re-sign Bellinger, or if we do give Dominguez more playing time, we have a pretty elitely stacked bench. Like, I think there are worse deals out there than re-signing Trent Grisham. They're acting like we brought back DJ LeMahieu. And I mean, we're not done. Now, if it's New Year's Eve and we haven't been in the market for like maybe 2 starting pitchers, if we haven't gotten any progress on Cody Bellinger, and I really think we should get Cody Bellinger back, and I do say that over Kyle Tucker. If we haven't made, and of course, land a first baseman who could also back up Ben Rice, because that's what it's looking like he's going to be the starting first baseman. If we're not in that conversation by New Year's Eve, then I'm going to be a little bit worried. But it's the head exploding that is going on Yankee Twitter, and I know I'm asking for a lot, even entering the universe of logic sometimes, or most of the time with Yankee Twitter. This is it's not even Thanksgiving yet. I mean, we're exploding as if spring training is tomorrow over just Trent Grisham. And I'm sorry, are we going to just erase the meaningful season that he had? Yes. Both him and Bellinger did not have optimal postseasons. I'm going to call that a flash in the pan. I'm going to say that we needed to have more timely hitting, and that was in part on our coaching and in part just a general lackadaisicalness that tends to hit us in October that I'm not understanding that we got to work our way through. But I don't think that should be the end all and be all. I think the next season's a new season. We got to see where we ride. And if I may offer a hot take, if you bring back Bellinger, and you brought back Grisham, and you try to get a first baseman, like I said, a first baseman and 2 starting pitchers. Honestly, this is the first time I can actually say for a Yankee team that I saw this year, I am okay if the plan is just to run it back, provided that we have stipulate the first base and the starting pitching part of that analogy. But if we just ran it back, again, Bellinger included, and we're still a top 4, top 5 offense like we were last year. I think Yankee Twitter is glossing over that. And everybody, of course, who calls into WFAN.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Without me interjecting too much, I'm just going to kick it right over to Brandon and get your thoughts on what I said and then what Jay said. Yeah,
the only thing that I'm thinking about as to why Yankee fans are mad is because they're talking about how, and I don't know how true this is because I'm not the Moneyball guy here, But talking about the whole $300 million luxury tax and how this would, because Grisham's deal would bring them really close to not being, or quote unquote, bring them really close to not being able to sign other players. Because the payroll would basically leave them with, I believe they said it's like 18 million, somewhere around there left.
I'll respond to that when you're done talking, because I have a few things to say about that.
Yeah, because I'm not quite sure about how that whole thing kind of works, but
I will just add this part. It's the luxury tax. The amount that it goes to your luxury tax is matches with the average annual value. So it's not about what you're making that season. So like if a player, let's say, makes 10, then 15, then 20, their luxury tax is 15 each year. It's not 10, then 15, then 20.
Yeah. So I think that's what a lot of people were freaking out about, just because I guess, like me, they just didn't understand, what that kind of meant for the team's payroll. But then also in previous years, they've gone over that. So it's like, it's not like it's, the end of the world that they brought back Trent Grisham. And
right.
I'm somebody that I thought that he was going to be out the door. Because to me personally,
so did
I would have, like, for me, I guess I just wanted to see Dominguez finally get a shot at his natural position in center field. He should still get that shot this year, but I just don't want. I'm tired of them sticking him in left field.
You and me both, especially in Yankee Stadium, when his route running is reminiscent of Clint Frazier. I can't get the phrase out, but
yeah, like it's like you have Cody Bellinger who can play all three outfield positions plus first base. I don't understand what the need is when they do give Trent Grisham days off to put like Cody in like center. I'm like, put Dominguez there since that's his natural position. Why would you play guys out of position? It makes no sense.
He's probably the most frustrating one that they did that with.
Like, yeah, and then you're wondering why he's booting balls in left field. It's like, and listen, he might get more reps there. He got more reps there as the season went on. He kind of got a little bit better as the season went on, which was good, but I'd rather him play at a comfortable spot than him being stuck at somewhere where it's like, especially at left field Yankee Stadium, which is hard to play. So
they get grounded. Sorry, go ahead.
No, just keep going. I was going to keep going after that.
But I was just going to say they get blinded. They get blinded by upside, and what I mean by that is they see that they always projectability, and this is where people are going to be surprised that I say this. I think that, and people say, they don't rely on their traditional scouting enough. They don't rely on their traditional scouting enough. I actually think sometimes they are relying on their traditional scouting a little too much. And here's what I mean by that. They get so caught up in what these scouts are telling them these guys could be. These guys could be, what their high-end upside is. Okay. I'm going to invoke a quote from my longtime personal trainer. Shout out to John Matt, who was a longtime trainer of mine, still a friend of mine, and is now actually the athletic director where I used to be the basketball manager. So shout out to John Matt. Hope you're doing well. But he used to always say to me, because I was this fan. As a 14-year-old Yankees fan, I was in there yapping his ear off and surprised I never got kicked out, basically saying, look at this Yankees guy's potential. Look at this guy's potential. And I was talking about Yangervis Solarte or somebody like that who never had a chance to actually be something fantastic. And he says, you know what potential means? He goes, what? He goes, you haven't done shit yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that has stuck with me ever since, because that's what I think of whenever I hear these guys talk about potential of these Yankees players or any other player in sports. And I'm like, okay, but at some point, if you have that potential, I've got to actually start to see your production and your ability actually start to increase in consistency with that potential. If you have great potential in left field, but you're showing me better things and your numbers and your analytical, production, output is more promising in center field, I don't give a damn what you could be in 4 years. I ain't trying to win the 2029 World Series.
Yeah.
So it made me think of that when you said that, because I get people telling me they don't rely on their scouts. If they don't rely on their scouts, well, it sure as hell ain't. Excuse me. It sure as hell ain't their current production that's telling them that they should be playing these guys in left field.
Yeah.
And it sure as hell ain't. Excuse me, sorry. It sure as hell isn't anybody that's done literally anything with regard to StatCast in the last 10 years. Anyway, Jay, or do you have nothing else to say on this match?
No, you got me already. I'm good for it.
Okay, yeah, I did. I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing you wanted to come back to. So, with that being said, we've got a bunch of free agents to talk about. Some of them, guys that we always talk about, the Kyle Tuckers, the Cody Bellingers of the world. Some of them, in my opinion, this is always the more interesting group of the free agents and kind of the lesser known ones, I guess you'd say. But it's the guys who are in the posting system from Nippon Professional Baseball. It's the sorry. Hang on a second. My computer froze. Brandon, did your computer replace mine when I was here? We are.
It's possible.
The Munetaka Murakami's is he's the infielder who plays third base, but is projected to move to first base in America. There's a pitcher, Tatsuya Imai, and then there's another corner infielder by the name of Kazuma Okamoto, who I think gets discussed the least of the three. Is projected to get the lowest earning of the three. But all three of those guys are projected to do well for themselves financially coming stateside. So, Brandon, you sent me a list, and I'll kind of just work from this list. And if anybody else has a name they want to talk about, we'll kind of go from there. Mm-hmm. But I'll just start working off of the list that you sent me. You sent to all of us. But we got a lot of these the normals on here. So I'll just kind of knock some of those guys off. You started by mentioning Mr. Kyle Tucker. So let's start with. Actually, you started with Bellinger. So why don't we start with Bellinger? Pardon me for that one. Oh my goodness! I'm sorry.
That might have been my list.
Well, we were all sending them back and forth in the different chats.
Yeah. That's what threw me off. I'm sorry. I was different messages were coming up at different times. Real quick, I want to shout out Christina Romano saying scoop. Christina, I can't thank you enough for joining. Hope you're doing well. Christina comes on with me when I am on this another show called Hall Hoops and Happenings. It's started by our friend Nicole Gizzi, who was on earlier, commenting earlier tonight, comments on most shows. Come check us out. We're usually on Tuesday nights. And they also do a great post-game show led by our friend Nick Romano over on, it's on Facebook, YouTube, a bunch of other things. It's produced by Surge Sports. Go check them out. Christina, Nicole, Nick, and a bunch of others. They all do a lot of great work regarding Seton Hall sports over there. They did a particularly great job last season when the basketball team gave them absolutely nothing to say. So with that being said, coming back to this, let's do this more cleanly. Bellinger, let's just start with the easy one. Give me your quick outlook on him. If you have a team in particular, if you have a sort of a, I won't get too specific financially because I know those are almost impossible to do. But just give me your thoughts on what you see for Bellinger this offseason, if you have any sort of projections or predictions on what he'll be doing in 2026. Besides playing baseball, because I know Jay was about to say that.
I wasn't.
Okay, evolution's a crazy thing. All right, go on.
Oh, Brandon, you're not going first?
Oh, I don't know who's going first.
I said Brandon.
No, I didn't know. To me, I mean, we stated the obvious before, but we all want Cody Bellinger back in the Bronx. There's all the comparisons.
I probably shouldn't have started this one by wearing a Yankees t-shirt.
I mean, there's all the comparisons between who's the better or who's the more important. I shouldn't say better. Who's the more important get, him or Tucker? And it's Bellinger by a mile, just because it's.
I do agree with that.
Just because, I mean, there's literally like 4 or 5 reasons why. I mean, Bellinger plays 4 positions in total. One, the 3 outfield positions plus first base. Also, he's for the last 3 years he's been healthier he would be on a cheaper contract than Tucker. The age doesn't matter. It's only, I think, a year and a half difference between them, which isn't really much. And just, I mean, their production was about the same, so that kind of is a wash. I mean, honestly, not for nothing, but Cody Bellinger has already experienced the Bronx. Like, Kyle Tucker's played her a couple of times, yeah, but Cody Bellinger has spent a full season in the Bronx. It might not seem like it matters a lot, but comfortability with the Bronx matters. Cody's more than comfortable in the Bronx. I think that. And for the obvious reasons, if you get Kyle Tucker, you're playing him out of position in the Bronx. He'd be playing left field when he hasn't played left since COVID. He's predominantly a right fielder for 95% of his career. And by the way, your right fielder is Aaron Judge.
The only stipulation I'll add to that is that Judge struggled in throwing the ball at the end. So the only way I could see that being different, the only thing I'll add, the only way I could see that being different is if they really are not comfortable with Judge going back to being the everyday right fielder. That is the only wrinkle I could see being there in that. Obviously, we have no reason to believe that right now, but I'm just saying that could be the one thing that I would look at going into next year.
The only tough part about people saying, to move Judge to save his health and whatnot, where would you move him? Because he's not going to play first, and because you already have Rice there, and you probably will add somebody there this offseason. So you'll have two guys there. So he'll never play first. And
here's what I could say. And I'm just completely, literally spitballing. I've given no thought to this whatsoever until it came into my head right now. Could you put him and Ben Rice back and forth between first base and DH?
Yeah, but then where are you putting Stanton?
Well, see, that's my thing. Is that's probably the type of move where you would end up seeing Stanton they'd probably see them end up moving on from him. It's getting harder. As much as I love Stanton, it's getting harder and harder for me to see Stanton playing out the end of his contract in New York.
Because I mean, he's got
the
2
guy
more
cannot play the damn field.
Well, yeah, because he's got 2 more years also, plus the club option. So that's the club option. They're gonna tell him kick rocks.
They're gonna decline that.
So it's basically 2 more years, but this year is like the first year where his contract is, or his what he's owed or whatnot, the cap is half of what it usually is. So,
which on the flip side can make it easier to move off of him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that it'll make it easier. So it could happen, but I think that this is the last year. I don't think they're gonna have Stanton play out both years in pinstripes. I think this is the last year of Stanton in pinstripes.
I think so too, unfortunately, and I think he's always deserved more respect than he's gotten from our fans.
Yeah. Wow. It's weird you can say that.
It's true though. But then this whole thing, kind of all these scenarios harp on what happens with Bellinger. We want him back in the Bronx. I mean, I want him back. Basically a 3,100 guy. The OPS is above 8, which is really good. That's above league average. There's nothing he doesn't do. I think he got robbed for Gold Glove consideration.
Yep.
Because I can't see how any of those guys, especially in the utility, were in the utility category, were better than he was. But yeah, I really think that he's going to be. He just makes more sense than Kyle. Going into last year, right? We talked about, Kyle Tucker was the big guy, in the market, and the Cubs got him for a year. But once the Cubs got him, because you knew you were getting a rental out of Kyle Tucker, so Yankee fans still want him. I get that, but after seeing what Cody Bellinger, listen, did Cody do nothing for them in the postseason? Yeah, but none of them did. Only Aaron Judge hit the baseball this postseason. Yeah. So I'm not going to knock Cody for one bad postseason. No.
And this is something, he's not here right. But this is something I advocate for all the players, and even Jazz. It's and I'm with you on this. Again, I'm not taking Kyle Tucker because of one of the last conversations that we had. It's that we are going to have to tell him to play a different position.
Yep.
And I'm going to assume that Aaron Judge is still the right fielder this season.
Yeah.
And again, this is still under the assumption that we get Cody Bellinger back, so he's in center. And in all honesty, that when we play people out of position, it has historically not worked out for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Now, the only way I can see that working out better for the Yankees is if we do sign Cody Bellinger, and if we have to make an adjustment and go back to first base, then the offensive stats say that he is still good when he's on first base, almost actually better than when he's an outfielder.
Yep.
So I'm cool with bringing Cody Bellinger back to the Bronx, and I think it's also going to be on a 5-year deal.
That's about what I think.
And I honestly think it's a wise investment because he's multifaceted.
He's got to be careful though, because I think he's a Boris guy, right? So you got to be careful that weasel doesn't jack up the price.
Yeah. I mean, but we've done okay with a couple of Boris signings. Garrett Cole.
Well, yeah.
It's Rodon's a Boris guy, right?
Is he? I'll look it up real quick.
I lose track now. I think he is though. But I think it's going to be. I think Bell. I would
he's a Boris guy too.
Yeah, I'd still put money on Bellinger being back in the Bronx. I'll try saying that 5 times fast. I think it's going to be good. Now on the Stanton issue, have we considered teaching him how to pitch? How about that?
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh boy.
You know what's funny? As much as he was a limited outfielder like last year, Stanton actually wasn't that bad in the outfield last year.
No, and that's like that was pretty amazing to me. I mean, he had me on tender hooks in the outfield. I'm not going to lie to you because I thought he was going to be the next guy after a couple of outfield reps to go down. But I mean, he showed up and showed out. And by the way, again, he had a lackluster postseason as well.
Yeah,
you are not getting anywhere near selling Stanton, because he had a bad postseason.
Yeah,
that's that postseason. That's his worst postseason since when? 2018.
Yeah,
like that man comes alive during the postseason. That's our MVP.
But not for nothing. We don't even get forget because we were getting into the postseason anyway. But we don't even get as close as we did to the Blue Jays to almost overtake the division again without his play down the stretch.
Yeah.
So, so it's like as much as I didn't like him at first in the Bronx, and once he got injured, I was like, oh, this guy, but then after last year was the first year where I was like, okay, when he's healthy, he's fine. But then when he went on a tear in the postseason last year, I was like, all right, I'll give this guy his flowers because I'm like, I understand now that it's much bigger than playing 162 games of regular season because the Yankees are going to be a team that's never going to miss they missed it once, but they're never going to be a team that misses the postseason.
Yeah.
You just get there.
And that's why people don't understand that the standard for us is winning the World Series because being in the postseason. Yeah, I realize a bunch of other teams don't get to the postseason. Number one, I don't care. Number two, I mean, that's not the standard. The standard is to win the whole thing, the whole friggin' thing. I got a good feeling about this postseason too, but I'm not going to call it from now. No, it's actually more hopium from me that in what might be the last year to squeeze out the prime of Cole and Judge.
That's what I'm scared of, especially with the lockout coming to the year after.
And by the way, I'm optimistic about that too because I honestly don't think that we're trying to have a repeat of '94. Yeah,
baseball, but with how much momentum baseball has gained over the last few years, I wouldn't.
Yeah, that would be as opposed to before. Yeah.
All right, guys. I agree. I'll say this. I could hear everything you were saying, and I agreed with pretty much everything you were saying. And
that's why I didn't shit talk you too much.
Well, that's interesting because you're usually pretty comfortable doing that right in front of my face. But anyway, so what I'll say about Bellinger is this, and here's something that I know it was mentioned a little bit, but I want to like really emphasize this point because I think it's not being brought up enough when people talk about Bellinger coming back, and why one reason why I do believe it's almost inevitable. Nothing's inevitable when it comes to free agency, the Yankees, or a Boris client, particularly not all three involved at the same time. But I want to mention this. How rare is it when a guy entering free agency the following year gets traded to the Yankees? He's a Boris client. Boris publicly says, my guy basically was driving me crazy to get into New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he reminds us of that going into free agency. Boris does not tip his hand like that.
Yeah.
He never does. I don't care who it is. This is not like when we lost Soto a year ago. Now, again, I'm not in any way comparing Soto as a talent to Bellinger. No disrespect to Bellinger, but Soto's one of one. But I'm never going to disrespect any player because each player is obviously their own guy. But this is not something we've dealt with a lot of Boris clients in all of our times as Yankees fans, especially going into their walk years. This was not normal. This was not normal. Yeah. And I really think it's important to mention that because as a fan, we all understand the business of baseball. We all understand how all that stuff works. But as a fan, it's just a damn good thing to see somebody want to play for your team, man.
Yes.
It's something you want to see. Like, I mean, as Eagles fans, we've experienced this recently. How many of us thought we were going to love Jason and Phillips this much? I mean, the guy makes me want to run through a freaking wall, and I can't even run from here to the edge of this room. But
every play is nothing but effort. He gives nothing but effort every single play.
He's like Russell Westbrook if Russell Westbrook didn't stress you out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my piece with regard to predictions on him, it's pretty easy. Bellinger back to the Yankees, 6 years at $200 million. That's my thought. Because I think he's going to get a lot of 5-year offers. I think he's going to request 7 or 8. I think he'll ultimately take 6 years for more money per year. That's where I got the 6 for $200. So, because the Yankees have been known to kind of manipulate average annual value like that, they sometimes usually will manipulate either 1 year less or 1 year more to kind of deal with that luxury tax number. So anyway, moving down the list. Sorry, Cody, we'll probably be done talking about you for the rest of the show, but I'm sure we'll be doing plenty in the future. Of course, his kind of I almost said co-topper. I don't think that's even a word. But his the other guy, he's at the front of the list with regard to free agency, Mr. Kyle Tucker, former Astro, former Cub. What are we thinking on this man? I'll actually start with this one just because I'll be quick. Again, corner outfielder, somebody who I think a lot of people are talking about, and I think a lot of people, just because and I understand why, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's got, like, someone's going to go to the Dodgers, it's going to be him, blah, 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 blah. I don't think so. He doesn't feel like a Dodgers fit to me, and I know it seems like everybody's a Dodgers fit these days, but they want to pay him more money for fewer years. That's kind of what they've been doing with guys. If you look at most of these guys, with the exception of Ohtani, and even they kind of did it with Ohtani a little bit, a lot of people thought Ohtani could get a much longer deal. He got fewer years for more money, excuse me. And I think that's going to be what they would offer Tucker. And I think Tucker's going to take the longest and fullest deal he can get. Keep your eye on the Toronto Blue Jays. I think
that's where I was going.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
That's where I was going.
One of the most aggressive teams every year is always the team that loses the World Series, especially a team that loses it that closely. And again, I've mentioned them quite a bit the last couple of years. They are one of the teams that is the best, and I hate the Blue Jays, but I respect the hell out of them for many reasons. This might be the number one reason. They are one of the teams at the best every year at spending the highest percentage of revenue on their players, on their payroll. And that shows a commitment to winning. They were in it on guys like Ohtani. We all know the the infamous Otani flight that never ended up resulting in a contract. They kind of be similar to the Giants in terms of being in on everybody but not getting somebody. I think this ends up being the guy that they get. I don't think it takes them out of Bichette by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't be surprised if they get both, but I think look for Kyle Tucker to go north of the border. Jay.
I was going to say he's probably – I would say my best guess would be that he goes north of the border. Don't go count out the Philadelphia Phillies because I don't know if Castellanos is a free agent right now or if he is still on the team. If he's still on the team, I would say that they look to move on from Nick Castellanos. I think the idea – if they do that, look for the ideal replacement to be Kyle Tucker. So the Phillies are actually my wild card for that one. But my leading contender, I would say, he's probably going to go to the Toronto Blue Jays and kind of torment us for a couple of games.
All right. And Brandon.
So I still think it's Toronto, but the dark horse I have now, he's a player that wants to compete. So this team wouldn't be competing, and that's why I kind of call it a dark horse, but they do need a right fielder, and he would definitely kind of give a boost from where they were last year. I would say San Fran. San Fran definitely needs a right fielder. They just need something there, period. He wouldn't be a bad guy to kind of start with. I think that, Toronto just makes the most sense, though, overall, like we're saying. Because that's pretty much all it took. I mean, they were that close to winning it all. It wasn't like, look at what the Yankees did when losing the World Series the year before. Went out, Max Fried, Cody Bellinger, went out and basically kind of loaded up. But those were the two marquee guys in that, but they got much more than that at the trade deadline and during the season, went and got more help. The Blue Jays, I expect nothing less. So, I expect them to pursue Kyle Tucker like a hawk. But, yeah, honestly, if you didn't say Toronto, I was going to, Scoop. So, yeah.
All right. Moving down the list, kind of one of the more talked about ones that we'll see that's kind of off that top tier. And for good reason, that it'll be one of the more talked about ones. He's the youngest of any of the top free agents. I mentioned him earlier. Munetaka Murakami plays both third and first, hits left, bats right. For those who don't know him, I recommend checking him out. But I'll go to Jay to start this one.
San Francisco. I think they definitely need a guy at first base.
Yeah.
And I think they definitely are trying to compete now that they've seen the Dodgers repeat twice. So I think Murakami would work really well in San Francisco. I know all my fellow Yankee fans want to sign, or a lot of my fellow Yankee fans want to sign him too. I love him.
I'm kind of out on him, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't see him coming to the East Coast. I think he's going to go to San Francisco.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Brandon.
I will say, if there is a team that needs him on the East Coast, it might be the crosstown rival because they might lose Pete Alonso. So
I can't see him losing Pete Alonso, but yeah.
But the thing is, it could happen. I'm not saying it will, but listen, they're the only East Coast team that's brought over a player from overseas, because they got Senga. So, why not add to it and bring over another? Because I just don't see anywhere else on the East Coast, I guess, fitting. I mean, Yankees, yeah, but I did say last year Ben Rice would be the starting first baseman in 2026, and I still believe that, so I don't think that's going to happen. And apparently he's better at first than he is at third. So I would rather stick him at first if the Yankees did happen to get him. Yeah. But if the Mets don't bring back Pete Alonso, because we've been hearing this now for the last, seems like a year and a half, where it's like, oh yeah, will they, won't they? What's going to happen to Pete Alonso? So if he doesn't come back, I'd keep an eye on the Mets. That would be a splash for them. So, and we know that, We know that the billionaire over there is not afraid to spend money. So, listen, that's not out of the realm of possibility for him to go to the crosstown rival.
Pardon my reactions while you're talking. It's just that I literally was about to make the same exact argument, damn near word for word, because I have him going to the New York Mets also. For the same thing, I think this is the offseason that Pete Alonso leaves New York. I think that, excuse me, and I think that Murakami, I can see them making a very quick. I think Alonso is going to be one of the first guys off the market.
Yeah.
And I think that I think Cohen's the kind of guy who, when he leaves, loses a big guy, a hometown guy like that, I think he knows he's going to have to make a big move to replace him, not just his production, but for the fans. And I think that bringing over a guy like Murakami, like you mentioned, they have made deals like that before with guys like Senga. Obviously, Senga, they just had a horrible end of the season with him. But I think that Cohen is determined to kind of make himself sort of the new era Steinbrenner in New York, and to kind of make the Mets, I hate hearing this, but make the Mets no longer the little brother, as much as half their fans continue to act like it. They do a great job trying to resist that narrative while actively feeding into it themselves. But anyway, with that being said, not much more to say there, because this guy ahead of me, I just spent a half an hour basically writing the same argument he just made in 20 seconds. But Murakami to the Mets is what I have as well. Down the list, I mean, we just talked about him, so why not pivot right over to Pete Alonso? Excuse me, sorry. I'm going to start with Brandon, because I'm going to see if we're going to go 3 for 3 here.
I don't know if it will, because remember, a lot of teams still do need first basemen. I can't see him leaving. I'll put it this way: I can't see him leaving the Northeast though. And for me, I mean, if what I've heard rumblings of this. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But he could be a Red Sox by the end of. Was that where you were going? Because they obviously do need a first baseman.
Houses is always injured.
And then last year you get Rafael Devers, was primarily a third baseman, and he did not want to move to first base. That would have solved part of the issue for the season. Then they move off of him. Then you really don't have a first baseman or a third baseman, whatever the case may be. So now, I mean, if you want to make a splash, and I mean, listen, they got a lot of young guys, so it's kind of like they didn't really have a ton of big contracts, I don't think, to worry about. So if you want to make that splash, and listen, they came on strong in the second half of the season after dealing away Devers. So if you
I would also note Bregman's a free agent after this this offseason.
Yeah, which is big too. So honestly, Pete Alonso it doesn't feel like he's going to leave the Northeast. I feel like that. Yeah, he might leave New York, but unfortunately, he'll go to the place that New York hates the most. And I'm not saying that the Mets, because the Yankees obviously hate Boston, but Yankees already have the history with Pete Alonso in New York and being on a little brother team. Why not extend the history out to Boston and then keep the rivalry going? So, I think Boston, that seems like the fit for him.
I'm not even going to bother talking because I can't not believe that you just did. But no, again, and what I will add here also is they've been a pretty injury ridden team the last few years. A lot of their big guys that they were expecting to get a lot from on the younger side have been kind of decimated due to injuries the last few years. Alonso's been one of the more reliable players in baseball since he came up in 2019. Yep. I think also that sort of adding that veteran presence, because I know that they really like Jarren Duran as a leader, but I think having a veteran that can kind of co-balance that and take a little off of Duran's shoulders, because we've seen him kind of get a little bit chirpy with fans when he gets a little bit overwhelmed. Anybody need a tennis racket? But anyway, so in all seriousness, I think that's a genuinely good fit for him. They've needed a first baseman for a while now.
Yeah.
Devers clearly was not meant to be a long-term, I'm sorry, clearly not cut out to be a long-term leader there. And I think he's somebody who, I mean, let's face it, if you can make it as a Met for more than half of a decade, there's not much you can't do.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I'm basically, what I mean by that is I'm not even trying to be silly here. Like, what I mean by that is they need stability. They need somebody there who can be kind of a steady hand for a longer period of time in the lineup and otherwise. And I think he offers that in a period of time where, quite honestly, they're kind of understatedly, for as much as people talk about the shortcomings of the Yankees and the wild fall off of the Orioles, the Red Sox have not had a ton to, be excited about since they won in 2018. Jay, we'll wrap it up with you.
Pete Alonso, I can't see. I'm sorry, guys. I can't see him leaving Citi Field. I think this is. It always takes me back to like the saga. I keep going back to the saga with like Aaron. What happened with Judge and those few hours where he thought we were going to the Giants, which
I never needed to hear about that again. But
Well,
yeah. I still talk to my therapist about it.
He wasn't going to the Giants. It was his cousin.
It was Arson.
It was Arson. Yeah, it was Arson Judge, the pitcher, number 00.
I will never forget being on the phone with my father when that happened, having to hang up the phone call because I literally could not complete a sentence.
I wasn't in a good place, and you guys have seen me in bad places. I feel like, for all the reasons you guys said about Steve Cohen willing to shell out the money, I think he wants to keep his star. I don't think he's a stupid businessman, securities, fraud, convictions notwithstanding. I honestly think he knows Pete Alonso, the Polar Bears, is a fan favorite, and New York, for the most part, likes to hang on to its stars. And I don't think the Mets are any different in that respect. They committed to him for a year. I think they're going to go the distance again. So I think Pete Alonso, he's staying in Citi Field.
Appreciate it. And again, would not surprise me. Excuse me, I'm suddenly hiccuping. All right, so let's go with kind of one of the more controversial ones this offseason. We'll go with a pitcher now. Somebody that is going to get a lot of conversations. Some people consider him the best pitcher available on the free agent market, coming out of Houston, but has had some questions about his personality and his mentality, I guess you'd say. Not his work ethic per se, but his level-headedness, I guess you'd say, because he had that incident with the catcher that you guys know, obviously, who I'm talking about, Framber Valdez out of Houston. I'll be honest, he was probably the hardest one for me to place. I mean, pitchers are always more difficult to place.
Yeah.
But because I think there's going to be teams that don't consider that as much of a thing as I do. I look at that, and to me, that's something. I don't want to see that from a guy that I'm about to commit a bunch of money to as a pitcher. I'm already got to be concerned about your injuries. I don't want to be concerned about your temperament too, especially with one of your own teammates. Being concerned about a temperament against an opponent is one thing. Against your own teammate, come on.
That's going to be the big thing.
But, obviously, I'm not in one of those 30 GM seats, unfortunately. I wish I were, obviously. But so I'm sure there's going to be somebody up there who's going to need pitching enough to overlook this, even though, and I will add this too, he's also 32 years old. So that's also not a guy. So he would be somebody that I could see a team giving a deal to on fewer years, but for a higher amount of money per year. And unfortunately, there's a team none of us particularly love who just lost one of their own big starting pitchers to a thing called retirement. I can see Framber Valdez going to the Dodgers. I can. I think Framber Valdez as a replacement for Cody Kershaw makes a lot. Hello,
Whoa.
Clayton Kershaw makes a lot of sense. You guys know I'm bad with names. Jay, you missed this, but last week I'm pretty sure it was on Football After Hours. I literally forgot Paul McCartney's name.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic.
That was What would you say?
What did you call him?
I forgot his last name.
You couldn't remember the last name.
Paul.
He's like, oh yeah, help me out. That guy, Paul from the Beatles. I'm like, Paul McCartney.
My favorite Beatle, incidentally.
Excuse me, sorry. But so yeah, so that's my thought. I think he makes, and the other thing, and another thing I'll add on that is just that I think that they are a team that will look at him as somebody who they're not concerned about his temperament. We've seen them be okay with guys like the Yosio Puigs. We've seen them, work with guys like Yasmani Grindal. We've seen them work with guys that are kind of abrasive. Hanley Ramirez is one of them. Now I know that these have been multiple different regimes, but for the Dodgers, for the most part, a lot of their people are still in place from 10 years ago. But so yeah, so that's kind of what I would say there. Jay, go ahead.
So I can, I sort of don't see him going to the Dodgers only because the Dodgers rotation is still kind of stacked. I mean, they've got Snell, Glass now.
Okay, I didn't know if you were short circuiting or
no. I had to be yeah. Ohtani still pitches. Kershaw was getting moved to basically a bullpen role while he was there. It's possible because who don't the Dodgers pick up nowadays, but I honestly think for me, if I were to predict it, I think I can never tell where this team is ever going, but it is clear that right now it needs a 2 in a 1-2 punch.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
I think that's it's going to be a shorter term deal. Like I read some hot take, and it was certainly a hot take that somebody thinks that he's going to sign a 6-year, $200 million. No. He's a 6-year, $200 million deal with the Baltimore Orioles. That also, that's a take. I could see it, sort of.
I mean, I will put it this way. It would at least address a need, and would it be them throwing money at a problem that they've had for a while, and after the money that they've claimed that they've had for a while for a problem they've had for a while, it certainly makes a hell of a lot more sense than whatever the hell they did this past week against Anaheim, but I haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah, well, when it comes with the Orioles, that means that they're potentially, after reading that take, my thoughts were, so your rotation will be Framber Valdez, pray for rain, Framber Valdez. That's what that's going to be. Because I can't imagine you making another pick. But I mean, yeah. Framber, I think it's going to be a short-term deal. But I think because of, the fact that he can be a locker room cancer, but I think it'd be with the Boston Red Sox.
Got it. Brandon.
I have 2 thoughts here. 2 teams. Usually I'm trying to think of only one for these scenarios, but I think I've got 2 in mind. And to me, they kind of make sense because they're both teams that are perennial postseason teams. Now, this all kind of depends on first things first before we get to him. But where is Scooble going? So, because if he does move, I don't think he will. I think the Tigers would be, but then again, their situation's a little bit funky with their monetary situation. But if you lose Scooble, you're gonna have to replace him with something, and I think the Tigers could possibly move in on Framber Valdez. Not saying they will, but that's a possibility. Mm-hmm. The second team that I'm thinking of, because they have, I believe, 2 guys that are free agents this offseason that might leave. And they have 1 guy who's, I think, supposedly going to miss pretty much all of next year with an injury. And I'm not going to say that it's LA because it's not, but it's their rival. I'm going to say the San Diego Padres. Because when you think about
another team that never shies away from big personalities.
Yeah, they don't shy away. They don't shy away from a big personality. They want to make the big moves. I mean, they talk a lot every year. They're a team that constantly is always trying to sign that big guy or a bunch of big guys to make moves. I wouldn't rule him out with basically what I think Cease and King. Well, we know Michael King's a free agent.
He's actually the next guy I have on my list.
Yeah, and you Darvish supposed to miss the season. So
I'm surprised Darvish is still pitching. To be honest, he seems to talk about a guy who's dodged farther time and injury just enough and cheated them just enough to still be playing.
Yeah, because my God, his career's been nothing but injuries. But it's crazy how he's done just enough to stick around this long. So he
wasn't young coming over from Japan either, if I remember.
No, he wasn't. So I mean, to me, out of both those teams, the Padres make a lot of sense. I mean, he would still be going to a team that's going to compete, that's going to contend. He would still be going to a team that just, quite frankly, needs pitching help because of those guys. So you're already down Darvish, and one of Cease and King are going to leave at least. So you're going to miss at least 2 pitchers next year. You got to fill that gap. So I think he would slide right in there as a guy that would do it, and would be a good arm for them to listen. Ego, and personality aside, good arm for them to have, elite arm for them to have. And if you want to compete with LA, that's a kind of guy that you might want. So, for me, I would say San Diego is probably your best bet.
I like that, and I'll reiterate what I said about the personalities thing, because they've, whether you want to say that they managed it well or not, they've proven willingness to at least take the risk, and I respect that. That they got one of my favorite executives up there in AJ Preller.
Yep.
Who, people can say, how he's been too aggressive or super aggressive, whatever the case. You know what? At least he's been aggressive. There's too many GMs, in my opinion, who sit on their hands and make calls with one of those little fake phones that they give to 3-year-olds who play house. So I appreciate the fact that he's actually aggressive. And one connection I will add that both of y'all, I don't even know if both of y'all, intended this, but obviously Farmer Valdez coming from Houston. You guys mentioned them respectively, the Red Sox and the Tigers. Red Sox managed by Alex Cora, Tigers managed by AJ Hinch. Both those guys going back to his time in Houston. So, and we know in sports connections are obviously a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
With that, as I mentioned, I'll move on to Michael King, staying on the pitching side of things. Shout out to Michael King, local kid from this area where I grew up. He grew up not too far from me, went to a school not too far from me. Has a lot of fans still here, myself included. I'll be honest. I think that there's been a lot of speculation about where he'll go, a lot of speculation about him. There's been the Red Sox have been mentioned. I've heard the return of the Padres mentioned. I've heard the Yankees mentioned. Well, I've heard a lot of things talked about. Obviously, he was a piece in the the central piece, the difference maker in what became the Trent Grisham trade that sent Trent Grisham to the Yankees last year in that blockbuster. So he was kind of considered the pivotal piece in making that deal happen from San Diego's side. And he proceeded to have a solid, year for them. I do believe, though, that a lot of times this doesn't happen, but we've seen guys go for a year to another team and then end up back in free agency with the team that traded them originally. I think that's what happens with Michael King. I do see he is, in my opinion, I do believe he goes back to the Yankees. I've heard from his side that there is mutual interest in a potential reunion. I think that he makes a lot of sense there for what they like in pitching. He wasn't a guy that they drafted. He did come over from Miami as a very young player. I want to say was the Garrett with the Garrett Jones trade. I want to say I think it was the Garrett Jones Nate Eovaldi trade. If I'm remembering correctly.
That sounds right.
I can't remember though. We make so many damn trades with the Marlins, but but anyway.
Garrett Cooper, you mean?
Yeah, Garrett Cooper. Excuse me, not Garrett Jones.
Yeah, I know you were talking about. Yeah.
But anyway, so he did come over from a trade from Miami. I do know that much. And ended up turning out, I think, better than a lot of us could have expected. And I do think I do know New York wants him back. And I know that they are obviously they needed more pitching than they expected, because obviously now that they're gonna not have Rodon to start the season, they're not gonna have Cole to start the season. They're not going to have Schmidt to start the season. They're not going to. There's too many.
Too many holes.
Yeah.
There's too many spots. I'm okay with one spot going to an unknown like commodity like we had with Jason or Jordan Montgomery a few years ago. I'm not okay with two. Not in a year when you're trying to win the World Series.
Yeah.
So I need one guy to come over, and we talk about this all the time. He's done it in New York. He knows what it takes to succeed in New York. We've seen him, pretty much stay healthy the last couple of years. He's still a pretty. Sorry, I'm also fighting a cold right now. We've seen him still do pretty well with regard to staying healthy and one thing or another. And he's not particularly old on the pitching side either. He's only 31, which is not super young, but it's young for the most part when it comes to starting pitching who are of his quality at this current time and is in the present day. Jay.
I agree with you, man. I think there's a high chance that he's coming back to the New York Yankees. I think that would actually be my best guess. The only other thing I could see is him going back to the Padres. I have not really figured that of another team kind of picking him up like that. I do worry about the injury factor because we already have two injured pitchers starting out the year late. That'd be Cole and Rodon. But I think even in kind of like not a stopgap role, but for a guy who can hold it down until Cole and or Rodon comes back, I think it's going to be. I think he would be a great addition to the lineup. Oh, and I keep forgetting Fried. I don't know why, but yeah, Fried. We're still going to have Fried, but yeah. But I think he remains. I think he comes back. I think there's a reunion for the first time in a long time. Because when's the last reunion we had? Major reunion.
I think it was that guy who's basically the Voldemort for Yankees fans now. So I'm not even going to bother saying his name.
There's so many Voldemorts too.
Pardon?
There's so many Voldemorts too.
I'm thinking about the guy who formerly played for the Cubs, the Reds. He played for the Reds. Screw it. I'm not going to say his name.
We'll take it off there.
Jody sends his face in the chat all the damn time. But anyway, Brandon, go ahead while Jay's contemplating life over there.
So we're 3 for 3 on this one. I think he's going to be a Yankee too. And don't get me wrong, we talk about with the whole injury history. I mean, but last year, just like I told people with Max Fried that the injury history was overblown. It's I feel the same way about Michael King. Last year he was injured, yeah, but last year was only his second full year as a starter. The year before he was lights out. He pitched 30 games, literally a sub-3 ERA. What was great for San Diego year before, and when he pitched last year, it was great for them also.
He also could shift back in into a Chad Green role once our rotation actually kind of comes back together. Which is
fine by me. I mean, Michael King was one of those guys that when he left, we were all it was bittersweet because we were like, oh yeah, we're getting he who shall not be mentioned anymore, and Trent Grisham, that's like, oh yeah, those guys are coming over. But we have to give up at that time one of our best pitchers, and it was like we knew how good Michael King was then, and then to see him blossom. Every time I saw him pitch in San Diego, I wanted to cry. I was like, "You should still be a Yankee. I miss you." So yeah, I think if there's any chance, I mean, and Michael King, I think even said when he got traded, he never wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave New York.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I could see this happening.
Yeah, so I mean, and on top of that, he's in the prime of his career. So so not for nothing, now would be the time to strike on someone like a Michael King, especially with the injuries, like you said, to our starting rotation, and just the fact that he's been it wouldn't be he'd be around the core guys that he was with the first time around. He'd be around Judge, Stanton, Cole. Those guys are still there. So
he also cost less, I think, financially than the Cease, Valdez, Suarez.
Yeah, which is I mean, I can see why he does cost less, but also, I mean, he's been better than a lot of them. But it's, a pitcher of his kind of caliber like that, like that's a guy that we're saying like, oh, if he was healthy, like he would be a Hall of Fame type pitcher like that. Like his numbers kind of reflect that, especially over the last 2 or 3 years. So bringing him back to me would be a no-brainer. The price tag is probably going to be right. The Yankees need that pitching help, and also you can never have for any team in general. You can never have enough starting pitching or pitching in general anyway. So, it just makes too much sense for him to be a Yankee again, and I would love to see him back in pinstripes. I love Michael King. So,
yeah, agreed. Let's see. Who are the other? Let's see. Who are the other names we wanted to talk about here? Jay, you mentioned this. Well, I was going to say it anyway, but because I saw you mention it specifically, I'll go with him next. Tatsuya Imai. In my opinion, quite honestly, my favorite of the 3 Japanese players coming over. I know Murakami's gotten more conversation. I'm more of an Imai fan than I am a Murakami fan. The thing that really concerns me about Murakami personally is just not a great people. We fall in love so much with the Flash, and I get why. I mean, it's appealing to the eyes, and it's exciting to the senses to see the 500-foot homers, and it's cool to see the diving plays and the oh my god, how did he do that? The basic thing is it's the Esteban Florial effect. You have to hit the damn ball first, and he just swings and misses way too much at pitches that most big league pitchers don't swing, or hitters don't swing and miss out. At least not to the rate that he does. His batting average on pitches over 93 miles an hour was like 0.95. That is horrible. And that's really what made me completely fall off of him in New York. I mean, at least for the Yankees, obviously. Tatsuya Imai. And this is where I share some of the logic that I can't remember which one of y'all had Valdez going to the Padres. But I shared some of that logic with this.
that was mine.
Yeah, you. Okay. So, yeah, that was so rude. I'm sorry. But yeah. But no, I think that he makes a lot of sense there for a lot of those same reasons. Again, he actually has been somebody that we've heard isn't necessarily hell bent on staying on the West Coast. But I feel like we hear that with every Japanese player, and I feel like most of them end up staying on the West Coast. I know that they don't want to limit their markets in free agency. I understand that, but I feel like Ohtani was kind of rare in that, and I honestly think it was out of respect that he told guys, "Look, I want to stay on the West Coast. I don't want you guys wasting a lot of resources because I know I'm not going to be comfortable over there." I think in retrospect, the more time gone on, I actually think he might have done that out of respect rather than being like, "Oh, I'm gonna." Let all these teams believe I'm coming when I'm never going or whatever. I do think that Imai has a lot of similar reasons, and I get why a lot of these players prefer to stay on the Pacific. And I think that there's a lot of reason for him to want to do the same as well. But I also just think the Padres are a good fit. I think that he represents an opportunity for them to kind of, again, the Padres have become very star-centric. They've obviously the Tatis, the Bogarts. They've taken a lot of swings and misses. They did the Cease thing. They did the Soto thing for a period of time. And I think that sorry, I short-circuited there for a second. I think that Imai allows them to be in a position where they can kind of be a little bit more stabilized in the rotation. I know that there's obviously there's never a guarantee, especially when it comes to pitching. But I think that there's reasons for them to be a little, at least, more confident in what they can have going into not only next season, but beyond. And again, keep in mind, Imai, 28 years old. This is not one of these 32, 33, 34-year-old guys that you're going to pay for the first 2 years and then kind of live with it for the next 3 or 4. This is a guy that you're probably going to get, if he stays healthy, which, that's the case for everybody, probably a good 4 or 5 years out of. And even and a lot of these players, particularly players from Japan, a lot of these players have been holding up well, even into their mid-30s these days. So I think that he's somebody who can really become a centerpiece to that rotation. I've got Imai going to San Diego. Jay.
You're going to be 2-0, man, because I had him going to San Diego. And I think Brandon, we might be 3-0 right now. I think
I'm gonna spoil it. I'm gonna say no, only because I did have.
Well, he already had Valdez going there, and I do think Valdez and Imai going to the Padres would be kind of overkill. Only resources to spend elsewhere.
I mean, listen, Preller has shown his ability to go all in, but I honestly think for nothing else, it's either the Padres or he goes to the Giants, because I think I think the NL West, the other teams not named the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NL West, are tired. They want to compete. They want to take the crown.
We're tired, and we're in another conference.
I mean, Jesus. Can they just be relegated for a year, leave everybody alone? I don't know.
To be honest, if we're looking, to be honest, it's the other 29 teams that deserve to be relegated. Honestly, more teams should be doing what the Dodgers are doing.
Probably, yeah, but it doesn't mean I can hate him. That I could hate him less. I honestly think they're going to get. I think he's going to go to the Padres, only because one of my other theories is that I think Dylan Cease is going to be a Houston Astro. I think because remember, without Valdez, and I don't think Valdez goes back to the Astros. Do you think do they have an ace at this point? They don't want to stay on the outside looking in for long.
Right.
I think, I think for me, I think Imai is definitely a San Diego Padre.
All right, and with the increased intrigue of knowing that we were not going to go, the board on this one, Brandon,
Brandon, you traitor.
Give us the decision 2.0 and make it more exciting than LeBron's, please.
Yeah, so
less annoying.
So, a lot of Japanese players. Well, these days, I mean, we see with the Dodgers. They like sticking together.
I think I already know where this is going, but go ahead.
A lot of these Japanese players like sticking together. We see that with the Dodgers, right?
Yep.
Somebody like Imai would want to go to a contender.
Yes.
And I think that I think he's somebody that would probably contend go to a contender in the NL. So why not? And I believe they do need some starting pitching help.
I mean, who does? Any team can use more pitching.
Yeah. Why not pair him up with somebody that we forget is a Japanese player that is not on the Dodgers? Why don't we pair him up with Shota Imanaga in Chicago?
Why did I forget? You said somebody that we forget is a Japanese player, and I was so confused.
Because I'm like, people forget that kind of he's there because everybody's so focused on the Dodgers' big three.
Oh, okay. I was like, I didn't forget Imanaga was Japanese.
Yeah, so
he's one of my favorite players, by the way.
It would also, it would make sense. I mean, those guys, if you put them back to back, I don't see how, that could fail. But I believe him. Yeah, I just looked up just to make sure I was thinking about this correctly. Imanaga just accepted the qualifying offer.
Yeah, he did.
So
I was excited for him for that. I'm a big Imanaga fan.
So, not for nothing, but hey, Japanese pitcher with Japanese pitcher, they'll be comfortable together. Yeah. Imanaga is really good. The Cubs need that kind of starting pitching. So I would think, if I didn't say Valdez to the Padres, I probably would have said Imanaga. Not Imanaga. I would have said Imai. But I think the Cubs would be a good spot for him. I really do. So
yeah, I can see a lot of excuse me, sorry. I can see a lot of benefit there. I think that he and they have had a history of getting a lot of players from the Japanese market going back well before they got Imanaga. So I'm sure that their pitch to him, a lot of these players like to have they like to feel like they're not the first one going over there. They kind of like to have a little bit of comfort and some resources and familiarity in terms of because a lot of people I think forget it's not just a baseball adjustment. There's a multi-leveled cultural, transition. Think about even as a non-baseball player. I mean, you're going somewhere you've never gone before. There's a lot of new things about At the end of the day, these are people immigrating to a new country for work. So just you got to think of it like that in some cases too. I'm sure that the White Sox, the Cubs could do a great job to.
I was about to say, both sides be miserable there. I mean, he'll be miserable pitching for the White Sox, and the White Sox wouldn't go anywhere with him anyway.
And Jerry
I don't know a lot of people who can help the White Sox.
and Jerry Reinsdorf would be miserable having to pay a pitcher anything worth his value. Moving on from that, let's throw a little curveball in the middle of this one, because that's what we found today when we heard a little thing that said the Texas Rangers are reportedly floating Mr. Corey Seager in trade discussions. Who do you have as the potential best fit for shortstop Corey Seager? And I'll start this one because when I heard this, I had an immediate team come to my mind. And because now, first and foremost, let's be honest, Corey Seager is not going to be traded to it. He's got a no trade clause, so he can't go anywhere he doesn't want to go. If he's going to go somewhere, one, they're going to have to be willing to take a decent amount of his contract, which is one of the biggest contracts in baseball. Two, it's going to be he's not going to go to a team that's going to win 75 games a year, especially not in the back nine of his career. Not going to happen. So I look at those two things. I look at a team that can pay him. I look at a team that that either needs a shortstop or could need a shortstop. I look at a team that has a lot of money coming off the books after 2025. I look at a team that could definitely use a new leader to replace one that we talked about potentially leaving his team after this season, who just had his contract jump down from about $32 million to about $19 million. We all know who I'm talking about. Put this man on the New York Yankees. Corey Seager needs to be in pinstripes. This is a guy who can take over at shortstop. Even if they don't move on from Volpe, they can move Volpe over to second base. Chisholm, I'm sorry, I don't need Chisholm back this coming season. Excuse me, sorry. I easily think that they could trade him. You give me an infield where you have McMahon at third, you've got Seager at short, you've got Volpe at second, where I believe he belongs, and you got Rice at first base. That is an infield that can win a damn championship. And I think if you put him also in that lineup where you have, and this is something that I think when we talk about the flow of the lineup as well, he is somebody who he bats left-handed, he throws right-handed, so he's going to be another left-handed hitter in that. But he's a left-handed hitter who hits well off lefties and righties, and he's a left-handed hitter who uses the whole field. He's not a strictly pull hitter, so he's not going to be somebody who's going to hit a 1200 OPS in Yankee Stadium and a 700 OPS anywhere else. Even though I think that narrative gets overplayed to begin with. Jody coming in saying Farmer declines his qualifying offer. Good point. I don't know if we mentioned that. We may have, but I don't know if we did. But yeah, and as I mentioned, they got money coming off the books at the end of this year. They have money. Obviously they have money off the books at the end of every year, but it's particularly a decent amount this year, partially helped by the Stanton thing, but also a couple of other guys as well. So yeah, and there's also been some conversations about guys like Heel or Warren or McMahon or Chisholm. Some of these guys being who are seen as potentially expendable, potentially being moved off the roster in a trade this offseason to clear some of the money, but also to kind of start to replenish some of that depth that they've traded in other areas. Because I'm sorry, even if you're contending for a championship, there is a thing that matters when it comes to depth. We see what happens when teams don't have depth. Depth isn't a thing you think you need until you don't have it. So I wouldn't mind trading a couple of these guys for depth as well. Anyway, Jay, what say you? I have Mr. Corey Seager going to the Bronx.
I still think he stays put in Texas, but I would like to see him in the Bronx. I would,
of course,
I would actually still keep Jazz Chisholm because he had a literal career year with us this past year. But
I'm sorry, I can't move out of my head what I saw from him in the postseason.
bro, come on, it was a yawn and a bad defensive play. Come on, man. If we're gonna give everybody else a break for their postseason performance, you gotta give Jazz one.
I literally criticized Bellinger for it earlier this episode. I've been consistent.
No, that means we can consistently keep Jazz.
Okay.
After a career year.
Fair enough. Jody says, Seager or Bregman, who would the Yankees rather have? I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. Seager, based on the team right now, if we get Bregman and we can flip McMahon somehow, then all of a sudden I can see that making sense. And I do like the fact, I don't like Bregman, but I do like the fact that he's a more well-rounded third baseman. And I like the fact that he adds some right-handed balance to this damn lineup because we've needed that for freaking years. So I don't like Bregman, and I do think Seager right now, but I think there's a world in which they would rather have, or Bregman could be ultimately the right play of those two. I can't believe I even just said that. I want to throw up. But I'll also add this. What did we say when I mean, I didn't say it because I wasn't born yet, but when guys like Roger Clemens, Johnny Damon, guys have come over from teams that we've hated. Bregman, in his case, is going to come over from two teams we've hated. But there's nothing like having a fan base warm to you by coming over and winning with us. So.
I was just about to say that means he'll be paying recompense to us. He'll be doing penance with us.
I almost called you Jordan. When you, I know that there's a Jordan up there, but anyway, Brandon.
That works too. But yeah, Corey Seager's tough. I mean, in response to this question, I think it's Corey Seager. But I think that's an easy one for all of us, Jody. But I think in terms of where he goes, I mean, everybody knows how I feel about Anthony Volpe. I mean, like, I get it. He's still young, but it's been 3 years of this crap. We can't wait anymore and watch him flail. Also, listen, some of this year wasn't his fault, obviously, because of injury. But if you have a chance to get a shortstop like that who has wanted to be a Yankee in the past, who has, proven time and time again how just good of a player he is. Now, the injuries are a little bit, the injury history is a little bit concerning. But at the same time, that he's another guy where you look at him and you go, okay, that's not a guy you're paying to be a regular season guy. Much like Stanton. You're paying that guy because you need that kind of bat in the postseason. Is Corey Seager ever going to bat, around 300 again? Maybe not. But he's guaranteed to at least get you over 270. He's guaranteed to get you over, about an 850 OPS, which is pretty damn good. And he plays. I mean, this guy literally has been a silver slugger his position before. So, he's not going to win you any Gold Gloves, but he's a damn better fielder than Anthony Volpe. So you're getting a much better player at the position. And there are some times where his glove has failed him, but not as much as Anthony Volpe. A lot, yes, but not as much as Anthony Volpe.
I will add Anthony Volpe was playing with a friggin' torn labrum this year. Yeah.
But outside of this year too, the glove also, like even last year, the glove took a dip from his rookie year.
I know he's a hard one for me to evaluate right now because it's hard. It's because to go from a sophomore slump into having to play through one of the worst injuries a shortstop can have. Like that's why I almost feel like I have to give him at least part of this coming season just because I don't know what the hell he is.
Yeah, I see it, but like it wasn't but his rookie year wasn't even that good. It was just the fact he was a good fielder. He wasn't a good hitter his rookie year. So like, you know, and then by the second,
he was 20-20. I will say that.
yeah, yeah, but
20-20 with good defense, I don't think is bad for a rookie shortstop.
yeah, but at the time we were willing to overlook the average in the OPS, but I can't overlook a two.
You also know to me, average is in the same conversation as pitching wins at this point.
Yeah,
I know you and I just differ on that.
Yeah, but I also take into account OPS and Seager's,
so do I.
And Seager's OPS is 200 points higher.
I'm in no way saying that Seager's not a much better player than Volpe.
Yeah, but that's where I'm like, the batting average is one thing. That's because anybody can be.
Yeah, it's the full package. I got you.
It's just overall what you're getting if you were getting a Corey Seager, especially because you would have control on him with the length of his contract, and you would have. I mean, yeah, you'd have to eat. You'd have to take on a lot of it, but at the same time, it's kind of no different than you taking on Stanton, who's now heading out the door. I mean, these guys, most of them leave by 36, 37, 38 anyway. That's exactly how old Seager was. I think Seager would be 37 in his final year at the Yankees if he were to come here. So I don't see a problem taking it if you're going to get another, maybe 3 years out of Corey Seager at this level. So, and see, Jody just said it with the batting average thing. Why do Yankees fans glaze Volpe so much? 212 hitter. 212 hitter, but it's not so much the 212. It's the OPS being so piss poor. Yeah. That's a big problem too. Is that the kid just doesn't hit. Period.
So here's the thing. There's a difference between glazing him, which I don't think is what I was doing, because I don't think that I do that. I was more saying I love how Brandon was just kind of like but that wasn't what I was trying to do. I kind of just was thinking. There's a difference, but I'm not saying that he is great. I'm saying I don't know what he is yet because I feel like, I mean, he was given a shit deal this past season to go out there and play through a torn labrum. I don't know who knew what, and as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is he should have had a surgery, or he should have had something, or at least he should have had rest, and he wasn't given any of that stuff for God knows what reasons. But that's why I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying I don't know what he is because of the fact that he went from what I consider was a solid rookie season.
Yeah, solid, yeah.
Into a sophomore slump. And then when he should have been able to show us what he actually was after a sophomore slump, he basically, to my opinion, that's why I'm saying I don't know what he is. I'm not saying he's great at all. Like, that's not anything that I'm saying at all. I want to be abundantly clear on that. I have no clue where that glazing comment came.
But we did both say that we both just said we do still want Corey Seager in the Bronx. So it's like
yes, of course. Well, and that's why in my variant of this situation, I would move Volpe to second, which is where I've wanted him this whole damn time. He's clearly not been able, even before this season, he clearly was not fully comfortable at shortstop. The only reason he was at shortstop is because neither Torres nor Peraza could handle shortstop. We haven't been able to develop a damn shortstop. The last good shortstop we had was Didi freaking Gregorius.
Yeah. And he wasn't even a farm system guy. He came over.
No, we somehow identified him in, one of the front offices between Cashman and I think it was Jim Henry, one of the front office's most understatedly, one of their best acquisitions they've made in my lifetime was Didi Gregorius. Because having to not only get a new shortstop is one thing, but having to replace the captain at shortstop and do it for a long period of time, man.
And not for nothing, Didi caught a lot of crap from a lot of Yankee fans because, he wasn't Derek Jeter. Who the hell is going to be?
No. And fans don't want to hear it, but there were a lot of times he was a more consistent fielder at the fundamentals of shortstop. There was a lot of times where he was a more consistent fielder. But anyway.
But Scoop, if you want to move him to second, do you really want to try and experiment at second versus a guy who was got an OAA of 5, which that would be Jazz? like he's actually proven himself at second. I mean, he's again had the miscues in the playoffs, but then again, I must reiterate, everybody did.
That's what Jody just said. I'll put it this way. Here's what I'll say. I'd explore the trade market for both, and I'd make a decision based on that. I wouldn't move either one of them right away because I think that having I'd always rather have two good players at a position than none. Right.
Yeah, well, it's gotten tougher for Volpe now that he's injured, but
yeah. So that's what I would say. And Jazz can also play. I know he didn't love playing third base. He can. I'm not saying move him back to third base. I'm saying he can do it. He also can play center field, which gives us some options if we don't bring back Bellinger. So my vantage point is basically just because you bring in somebody doesn't mean you have to rush somebody else out the door.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Jody, echoing with you, said Jopie over Chisholm at second. Again, I've been of the mindset that I moved Jazz this offseason. But again, that's predicated on me being able to get a good return from him. I'm not just saying I trade him for whatever I can get. I'm saying that I think that he's an expendable player, that if I can get a good return that I think is valuable to my team this year and beyond, I think he's somebody who I'm willing to move. I will say his personality and his fielding, I've had issues with, but again, I know that there's different people who feel different ways about it. Anyway, moving forward, everybody got a chance on that one, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. We've gone way into this one, but also at the same time, as everybody predicted, Josh Allen versus Davis Mills shockingly hasn't been what's the word?
Compelling.
Compelling. Thank you. My God. Wake up.
Yeah, we've been on some royal misses for Thursday night football.
Yeah.
That's just Thursday night for you.
Fortunately, after this week, I think most of the rest of the games should be good.
Yeah.
I mean, our game was good, so
from what all right. Let's go into some relief pitching arms. I'm going to give a couple back-to-back that have kind of been put in the same conversation with one another, for rightfully so, because they're both closers. Let's start with the one from the I almost said the South Side. That's not a thing in New York. Whatever.
No.
Whatever. Edwin Diaz. So I think there's a lot of people who expect him to be back in New York. And I understand why. I honestly feel like he might be somebody that they want less to lose than Pete Alonso. But again, I even with somebody as locked down as he's been for a long period of time, relief pitchers are volatile. And I'm always somebody who's struggling with giving relief pitchers a third, fourth, fifth year on a deal. So and we've seen why. I mean, we saw how we got burned with the damn Chapman stuff. And it's been everybody. I mean, Craig Kimbrell, Kenley Jansen, any of the best relievers you can think of the last few years, if they've gotten a fourth, fifth year, it usually hasn't worked out well. And I do think that whoever ends up signing him, if they offer him that long deal, they're basically paying him. They're doing what I said earlier. They're paying him for the next 2 years, and they're basically willing to accept the rest of it afterward. I can't really think of anybody who's in the market for making a long-term play at reliever. So what I'm going to guess happens is that most of the teams are going to try and get him for an insane amount of money, like a $40 million amount of money the next couple of years, and then maybe either a vesting option after that or a significantly reduced salary after that. With that being said, I'll reveal my team last. Jay.
Sorry, you cut one out. You go first, dude. Brandon, I'm going to let Brandon go first on this one. I'm still thinking that one.
Okay, Brandon, go ahead. And Win Diaz.
Closers are just tricky, just because they're pitching. Yes, we always say every team can use pitching, but they're not a starting pitcher. So, it's kind of tough. And you got to think about like what team you would want to go to a contender if you were somebody like him. You wouldn't want to go to a
The Marlins.
you wouldn't want to end up there. I mean, now, there's a couple places that he could go. I don't know if he would necessarily, but I would think that, I don't think he would, because the Braves need a lot of help, but the Braves, he wouldn't stay in division just to go to Atlanta. That doesn't kind of make a ton of sense to me. I would look at, I'm trying to think about it, but I guess if he leaves, because I think he's a free agent, because Josh Hader in Houston's a free agent, Edwin Diaz could work in Houston. I think that could be a possibility. You know what it could be if they decide that they don't like what they kind of have behind who they just lost. I would say Cleveland's a possibility. Just because
I didn't consider that one. You're right.
Because you figure obviously with the stuff going on with Class A, but if they decide that Cade Smith isn't the guy, then that kind of paves a lane for them to get Edwin Diaz. Depending on just what they'd want to spend for him. But it's got to be a contender. It can't be somebody that's kind of like looking for a closer that's kind of somewhere in the middle. It's got to be a team that's definitely striving to contend. So to me that's Cleveland and that's Houston. And listen, I ultimately think he does stay in New York. The Mets definitely, Cohen, they don't want their guys to leave. So I do ultimately think he's gonna stay in with the Mets, but don't be surprised if one of those two teams takes a shot, or both take a shot at him, because he is probably the hottest closer on the market as of right now, as of this current date. So, I think that those two teams would be in play for him.
I was hedging.
Right. Brandon, do you have one yet or no? Oh my God, Jay, do you have one yet or no?
I was hedging a little bit on this, but I feel like I'm still going to stick with my original.
Yeah.
I still think he stays a Met. I think he's just another free agent who's looking for a better deal than whatever qualifying offer they tried to put on the table. Again, Cohen, not stupid. Baseball is more than just baseball, and he is still a pretty decent closer.
Yeah.
I think baseball is also entertainment, and in spite of the fact that I kind of would rather listen to a fire engine than the Timmy Trumpets, and for context there, I'm hearing sensitive, so fire engines bother me. I still think that electrifies the crowd and that puts butts in seats at Citi Field. I think he stays in that.
Also, I'm gonna shut down the stuff now because obviously Yankee fans gonna get over emotional. Stop wanting Edwin Diaz in New York. We have a closer.
Why?
I shouldn't say in New York. I say in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Stop wanting.
No, you can say New York.
He
doesn't need to be on Long Island. He needs to stay on Long Island. How about that?
I saw some of the best pitching in the ninth inning with Bednar this year that I've seen since Mo. And also, it wouldn't work for a couple. Well, really, it's because of Bednar. But not only do you have a closer who's been more consistent in the last 3-4 years overall than Diaz in Bednar, you also don't want to bring. Why would you pay Diaz that kind of contract just to be your closer? And because it's a slap in the face to Bednar, the job he's done. For what he did for you last year. He has every right to be the closer this year. And B, just, I'm not moving the better closer to the setup man role. No.
That doesn't make sense.
No.
So
and I'll add that, or I'll add this rather. The Yankees have paid a couple guys multi-year deals in relief free agency the last decade. It ain't worked out well.
Nope.
So I don't know. I've got a cat now, and if I try to pet her a couple times and she scratches me both times, I know not to go back and try and pet her again that time. In this case, if I get burnt on doing the same type of move a couple times, I don't need to try it again. Good for you, Pringles. You got a mention on WTS. Anyway, Jody says Hader signed a $5.95 last year. He's going nowhere. And with that, I'll jump in. I'll jump in on this side of things. I can't speak. So for Diaz, this team was in the headlines a few days ago for a move that they made that I did not understand from their perspective. I still don't understand it. And this is a team that has been saying they were going to spend money, has needed pitching. For some reason, just got rid of one for no apparent reason. I'm talking about the Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles bullpen lost them more games this year than the Yankees did.
Yep.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
In fact, if I had just asked you just then, which I was going to, if I had asked you just then, this team in the AL East bullpen lost them the most games out of anybody in the division, would you have guessed Baltimore over New York?
No.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I think Edwin Diaz makes a lot of sense up there in Baltimore. I think he buys I think he buys them a little bit of time to kind of figure out what else they're going to do with the rest of their pitching. Sometimes a little bit of lack of rotation depth. Sometimes it gets there's a little bit of weight taken off of them a little bit if you can kind of solidify the back end of that bullpen. I think also there's a possibility. One thing I could think this move could do, that's trade that they made, for those who didn't see it, the trade was they got Taylor Ward from the Anaheim Angels, sending over Grayson Rodriguez, a former top pitching prospect. One thing I wonder if this could do is I wonder if this could free up a couple of their other pitchers, outfielders rather, like Colton Cowser, to go out and try and get pitching on the trade market. I do kind of wonder if that's something they're looking to do. And if so, that could also, work in tandem with a move like this. But I got Edwin Diaz going to Baltimore. So still terrorizing the Yankees, just from another location. And next on the list, who was the next guy we've got here? There's so many free agents. There's no way we're going to be able to talk about all of them. No. So let's just we'll do a couple more here. This is the name that I think any conversation about free agents has to include. Bo Bichette. Actually, Jody real quick says, please explain why we traded Dubon for a mid guy from the Braves. Dubon was a Gold Glove guy. Does anyone else want to take this, or you want me to do this?
Take it.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah, okay. I don't care about the Meerkat from Houston. He looks like Sid. I'm sorry, from Ice Age. Mauricio Dubon.
Now I can't unsee it. Don't look past the fact that Nick Allen also had an incredible defensive year. He also was one of the best players defensively. Excuse me, I'm very, very loud right now, and I apologize for that. He also was rated the best defensive player in the baseball in the Summer Olympics in 2020. So this guy does have his own defensive reputation. And also, I'll add this. When I've called them two of the most well-run teams in baseball, when those two teams link up to make a trade, that's a rare thing to do. You usually see two dysfunctional teams make a trade, or one dysfunctional team make a trade with a team that's typically well-run. You don't usually see two well-run teams come together on a trade. So I'm willing to give both front offices the benefit of the doubt here. And I also didn't hate this trade from either side. I like Dubon and I like Nick Allen. I think that my guess is that Houston really wanted a more surefire shortstop, and my guess is that the Braves wanted somebody that can move around a little bit more. That's kind of the perception that I had is that they wanted somebody who was a more of an everyday shortstop type of guy, or at least somebody that they could play at shortstop on any given day and be comfortable with it. And my guess is that Atlanta wanted somebody who was more playable at more positions. That was my perception of it at 10,000 feet. Anyway, back to Bichette. I'll go easy, or rather, I'll go quickly on this. Going back to Toronto, I don't see any other outcome.
Yep.
Yep.
He's a lifer for Jet. For
Yeah.
the boys.
All right, so we're all congruent on that. All right, have we done Bregman yet?
We
We touched on Bregman, but we didn't
So, yeah. So this is another one that I don't think what I'm saying is gonna shock many people because he was looked at this as a strong fit with his team last offseason. He didn't end up going there. He obviously ended up with Boston this past season. He ain't going back there, I don't think. And again, he's got one of his former coaches on this team. This was thought of as a strong fit. They needed a third baseman. They needed a third baseman since Candelario didn't work out up there. They were a surprise breakout team this year, or at least a surprise, getting further than they expected to this year. They fell off aggressively at the end of the season in one of the worst collapses we've ever seen. Arguably the worst collapse since the 2011 Red Sox that got Tito fired. But that being said, they need a third baseman. There's too much that makes sense here. I got Alex Bregman going to Detroit.
That's a fact.
Another thing we're all in agreement on?
Yes, sir.
I think so.
All right. Excuse me again. All right. We'll do one more. Does anyone else have a free agent that they want to touch on? Because otherwise, I'm going to go to the one that I have on the last one I have on my list here.
I'm good.
I'm all right. I mean, because we're already getting towards 2 hours.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Then I'm going to go to the other. Obviously, probably the guy that Yankees fans talk about the most in terms of our current free agents, and the one who kind of gets the most disagreement, I think, in terms of between fans on how they feel about him. I think there's even disagreement between us on how we feel about him, which is why I put him here. What do we got on Devin Williams? Jay?
I'm saying, I've been back and forth on Devin Williams. I actually do hope we re-sign him. I think he settled into the latter part of the year. If we don't, and it's likely that we won't, I think I have him going to the Cubs. I think he would be. I would say that he might go to the Cubs. I think, but I'm spitballing on that.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, as much as I've given him crap this whole year, I'd want him back in the 8th inning and only the 8th inning, please. Because that's the only spot he was good in.
Yep, the 8th or earlier.
I don't want to see him close another game in the Bronx. I want to see him be the setup man. But I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem likely. I would like him back in New York. It just in the Bronx. It just doesn't seem likely. I mean, we're hearing about because the Mets are probably might move on from Diaz. Oh, he could go to the Mets. I'm like, I don't see that. I mean, this could be another thing where I guess he would go back. I mean, he could end up going back, I guess, to the NL, and I would say maybe San Francisco.
Very very pitcher friendly park too.
Yeah, so I could see that being a thing. I mean, it's not the biggest market. It's not a small market, but it's not the biggest market. In a smaller market like in Milwaukee, he was great.
Okay, I was confused. I was like, I thought you were just calling San Francisco a small market. I was like, what the?
No, but familiar with the NL, familiar with not being a super big market, but being a decent one. But it's not the same pressure as being in the Bronx, where he did adjust well by the end of it. So to me, if and I believe Buster Posey pretty much just said that the closer plans are kind of up in the air, more or less. So I San Fran is not a bad idea, in my opinion, for Devin Williams, if he's not the Yankees setup man next year. So that's what I'm thinking.
All right. Yeah, I've seen it. He's gotten a lot of interest this offseason from a lot of teams that we've heard about, and honestly, that doesn't surprise me. You guys know that I was probably annoying fans this season with the amount of times I said he's getting hit. He's getting unlucky things. I mean, or he's had, his underlying metrics show he's gotten unlucky or whatever. This is where I say people who say that the underlying metrics in the eye test, like they often will, if you look closely enough at both, they often will say a lot of the same things. I mean, you just watched him. Some of the hits that were gotten off him, they turned into singles when they shouldn't have turned into singles. Some of the hits that were gotten off him, if you had, in my opinion, some of those were more of a scathing indictment on the defense than on him. He just unfortunately happened to be pitching at the damn time. But I watched the way it unfolded throughout the season, and I thought we saw some of his best at the in the second, like in the latter part of the season. Yeah. And I said back in June, if he pitches well in August and September, we ain't gonna give a damn what he did in June. And in my opinion, that's a lot of what happened. He unfortunately had a really bad, outing, toward the end of the postseason, unfortunately, and that's probably going to be what sticks in a lot of Yankees fans' heads. But I genuinely believe he is going to do well this offseason, at least better than a lot of Yankees fans think he will. And I still think he should. And I'm prepared to be wrong on this one, but there's a report that came out today that New York and Devin Williams are actively re-engaged in talks about him going back there, and I'm going to hang my hat on that. I think Devin Williams, as the setup man, is going back to New York. I think that he got a strong, it's rare to see. He kind of did a little bit of what Isaiah Kiner-Falefa did. He took a lot of heat from fans over, the beginning of his time there, understandably so, because he played very poorly. But he worked through it. He made the changes. He continued to try and reinvent himself or reorient himself. And some of his best moments came when we needed them most. Came when we needed them most. He's now we now have a bona fide closer, which means that they're not going to be tasking him with going in the ninth inning. They're going to move him they'd be presumably moving him back to the eighth inning, which is where he did his best in Milwaukee. So now we've got a pitcher who's proven he can figure out how to pitch in New York in a position to pitch the full year in the eighth inning. If I can get that if I can maybe get him on a high salary for maybe 2 years with an option or something of that nature, I want Devin Williams back, and I'm gonna take a risk here. I'm gonna say that's what I think happens, because more often than not, when I hear the Yankees want to bring one of their own players back, especially a reliever, we saw it happen with Tim Hill. We saw it happen in the past with guys like Tommy Kahnle. We saw it happen with guys like Chad Green. If the Yankees want a reliever back, they typically bring them back. All right. Do we have any other guys we want to talk about? This thing's now gone over 2 hours.
Yeah. No, I think we're good.
I think my energy is running low, but I still not gonna lie. This is TMI. I still have to shower from work. I came straight from work and came onto the show tonight. So
yeah, no worries. And I will go watch some of the games so that I at least know what I'm talking about for FAH.
Yeah.
But guys, all right, thank y'all very much. Guys, we had a lot of engagement tonight from a lot of people. Thanks again, Jody. Appreciate all your conversations. We had people jumping in like Christina and Jess and Nikki. Thank you all. And we had a couple of other people who were on watching, so thank you for that. Guys, we won't be on next Thursday. There's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I believe we will be. We should be on the following week on the 4th. So look forward to returning with y'all from that. We've got. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. You guys got anything left to say before we sign out here?
No.
Yeah, I would just say, hey, listen, because we're not gonna be here on Thanksgiving, so this is technically our Thanksgiving show.
Hey, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for everybody listening, I mean, hey, I mean, we'll be talking to a lot of you guys, off air.
Yeah.
But at the same time, listen, happy Thanksgiving. stay safe with you and your loved ones. Have a good Thanksgiving. Eat everything to your heart's content.
Yes.
And pass out on the couch and watch some football. That's what I'll be doing on Thanksgiving, at least.
That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just got a notification from Brandon Cuddy, the Yankee guy from NJ.com. This is the annual Brian Cashman sleeping outside for raising awareness about youth homelessness. So
Yeah.
that is going on tonight apparently. But yeah, guys, happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a wonderful time, whether it's spent with family, friends. It's like I always say, all the, family, friends, food, football, all the big 4 F's. So go enjoy them all. Guys, I urge y'all, if you got young relatives or friends or whatever at Thanksgiving this year and they're excited about Christmas coming up, don't be the one who ruins it about Santa. I know people who do that. I know adults who are still believing in the Las Vegas Raiders. So don't go out there and destroy a child's Christmas this year. With that being said, I'll see y'all in 2 Thursdays from now. Same Scoop time, same Scoop channel. Scoop, Brandon, and Jay out. Happy Thanksgiving.